Hey everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to make a necklace and a pair of earrings today, and I'm going to use some of the beads that came in the most recent curated bead box, the one for March 2024. It's called Dusk in the Woods. I'll put a link in the corner of this video and in the description box below to the unboxing video I did for this subscription in case you want to check it out where I go over everything that came in the box. I have a coupon code. It's Teresa35, and I'll put it on the screen here and in the description box below, along with a link to the page to sign up for the subscription if you're interested. The coupon will save you 35% off your first box if you sign up. In here, I'm using the 8mm green/orange duo style glass beads that came in the box. In here, I'm using the 6mm fern jade style glass beads that came in the box. In here I've got some of the 4mm spacers that came in the box. This is the little owl pendant that I just fell in love with as soon as I saw it. And I knew I was going to have to do a necklace with it that I'm going to use as my pendant. And I've got a bail that I'm going to put it on and a 6mm jump ring from the box that I'm going to attach it to my bail with. I've got some findings in here. I've got 3 of the 6mm jump rings that came in the box. I've got one 4mm jump ring and one 8mm jump ring. I've got a lobster clasp, 2 wire guardians, 2 2x2 crimp tubes, a couple of pieces of chain, and then a smaller piece of chain I'm going to use as an extender. And I've got a little owl charm from my stash that I'm going to dangle off the extender. And then for my earrings, I'm going to use 2 of the 8mm beads, 2 of the 6mm beads, a couple of the spacers, 2 different owl charms that I had in my stash, a couple of ear wires, and I've got 2 pieces of 22 gauge German style wire that I'm going to use for the earrings. I've got some 11/0 silver seed beads here that I'm going to use to space out the beads a little bit. I've got some of the bead stringing wire that came in the box and my bead stopper. I'm going to be using my chain nose pliers, my tweezer pliers, my round nose pliers, both pairs of my bent chain nose pliers, both pairs of my crimping pliers, and both pairs of my cutters. And I have my little New Orleans shot glass to put my wires in when I cut them off. And I never do mention it. I don't know why. I've had people ask. I use my memory wire cutters to cut chain. Of course, I already got my chain cut, so I won't be doing it on video. But I use my memory wire cutters to cut chain. Of course, you can use any kind of heavy-duty cutters to cut chain. And I think that's everything. So hold on and let me get some of this out of the way and I'll get started. I'll be back. Okay, I've got some of my beads out here and I'm going to get started. First thing I'm going to do is put my little owl on this little bail. And I've already got all my jump rings open because I already did this whole entire necklace and then realized that I messed up and left out a bead. So I'm having to do it over. So I had to take it apart, and I just left the jump rings open because you don't want to open and close jump rings any more than you have to, because if you do it weakens them. So I'm just going to take my jump ring and thread on my owl and thread on my bail, and then close my jump ring back. Make sure to get it closed back really well. We don't want our little owl to fly away. So that's going to be my pendant. And I also forgot to say I'll leave links to everything I can find links for in the description box below, everything that didn't come in the box. So now I'm just going to string. This is a really simple pattern. I'm going to do a 6mm bead, an 11/0, another 6mm bead. Need to get some of these up here out of the way so y'all can see what I'm doing. I'll get better in frame. I guess I could zoom in a little too, wouldn't hurt. Now I'm going to do, so I've got a 6mm bead, an 11/0, and a 6mm bead. Now I'm going to do one of these spacers. And then I'm going to do an 8mm bead. And an 11/0. I need to get these over here so I can reach them better. And an 8mm bead. And another spacer bead. And then a 6mm bead. An 11-0. A 6mm bead. An 11-0. A 6mm bead. A spacer bead. An 8mm bead. An 11-0. An 8mm bead. An 11-0. An 8mm bead. And I think I forgot to say I've got 20 inches of my bead stringing wire. I didn't know how much this was going to take, so I just cut half of it, half of what was in the box, and it turned out to be 20 inches, so that's what I've got here. Now I'm going to do another spacer bead, a 6mm bead, 11-0, 6mm bead, 11-0, 6mm bead, and a spacer bead, an 8mm bead, an 11-0, an 8mm bead, spacer bead, a 6mm bead, an 11-0, 6mm bead, and now I'm going to do 3 11-0s. And now I'm going to thread on my little pendant here, and I'm going to let my bell rest over top of those 11-0s. So that's going to be half of my necklace. Now I'm just going to string the other side, and it's going to be exactly like this side. And when I get it done, when I get it all strung up, I'll come back and we'll crimp it. So I'll be back. Okay, I've got my necklace all strung now. I'm going to crimp it, and 20 inches of wire was too much, but like I said, I didn't know how much it was going to take, so I just cut the wire that was in the box in half. So I'm going to take one of my crimp beads and put it on here, and one of my wire guardians, and down the other channel of my wire guardian, I'm going to go back through my crimp tube, and well, it popped out. Okay, now I'll make sure to hold my wires apart, because I don't want them to be cross, because when I crimp this, I want each wire to land in its own little channel, and if they're crossed, they won't do that. I want to make sure there's no wire sticking out the top up here. And usually I tuck in my little wire guardian, but I already tucked him in because I've already done this once and had to take it apart. So now I'm going to take my crimping pliers here. I'm going to go that part with the tooth. I'm going to lay the tooth on top of my crimp tube. I'm going to squeeze. Well, it keeps wanting to slip off of there on me. And that puts each wire in its own little channel there. I'm going to go on the part that has the half circles on each side, and I'm going to go on this middle one because that's the one for the 2x2 crimp tubes. I'm going to lay my crimp in there. Give it a good tight squeeze. I'm going to tug. That's good. So now I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. And then I'm going to take my bead stopper off here and push everything down and crimp this side. And like I said, I have way too much wire here, but I'm going to put my other crimp tube on and my other wire guardian. Go down the other channel of my wire guardian. Back into my crimp tube. And now I like to go through a bead on this side because it helps get my hands out of the way and it centers my wire guardian over my last bead there. So I'm going to go through that last bead. I'm going to hold on to my wire guardian and pull my wire through. Well, there we go. Now I want to make sure there's no slack in my piece, but I don't want it to be too loose either. But if there's no slack in it, it won't, if it's too tight, it won't drape well. Excuse me, I almost got a frog in my throat. I usually leave it coiled up like this to keep it from being too tight. That usually helps. So now I'm going to just make sure there's no slack in here. And it's a little bit harder to do on this side because the beads are in the way and your hands are in the way and everything. Now I'm going to take my crimping pliers again and go on that part with the tooth. I'm going to lay the tooth on top of my crimp tube. I'm going to squeeze. Now I'm going to turn it, go on the part with the half circles again, lay my crimp in there. Squeeze and give it a good tight squeeze. Keeps wanting to turn around on me. I'll turn it around, try to do it the way it wants to lay. Okay, now I'm going to tug. That's good. So now I'm going to cut off my extra wire. And make sure not to cut my the wrong wire. So there we go. There it is without my findings on. Now I'll get my findings and put the rest of them on. So hold on, I'll be back. Okay, I'm going to put the rest of my findings on now. So I'm going to take one of my 6mm jump rings that's already opened. After I got this all done and the wire guardians and crimp tubes and everything on there, it came to 12 inches. So I've got about these two pieces of chain here are 4 inches each. So I'm going to put my chain on here. One side of my necklace. Close my jump ring back. Get it closed back really well. I'm going to take another 6mm jump ring and put my other piece of chain on here. Put it on the other side of my necklace. Now I'm going to take another 6mm jump ring. These are all the jump rings. All these 6mm jump rings are the ones that came in the box. And I'm going to put this side of my chain on. And my wire guardian. Close my jump ring back really well. Did I say wire guardian? I meant my lobster clasp. I think I said wire guardian. Lobster clasp. Okay, now I've got an 8mm jump ring here that I'm going to put on this side for my lobster clasp to clasp onto. And then I'm going to put this little piece of extender chain on here. It's about 2 inches. I'm going to close my jump ring back really well. And now I've got a 4mm jump ring and my little owl charm. And I'm going to take my 4mm jump ring and thread my little owl on and put it on the end of my extender chain. And close it back really well. So there's my necklace all done, and I double and triple checked it this time to make sure I didn't miss a bead, so I think it's right this time. So now I'm gonna get my earring stuff together here and make a quick little easy pair of earrings. So hold on, I'll be back. Okay, now I'm gonna make a really easy pair of earrings here, and then I'll be done. So this is about a 3.5 inch piece of my 22 gauge German style wire. I'm going to go down about 1.5 inches, bend the wire over the pliers at a 90-degree angle, take my round nose pliers and put them in the crook of the bend, round nose pliers facing me, bend the wire back until it hits the pliers. I'm going to rotate the pliers till they're facing the table, take this shorter piece of wire and push it up here under until it hits the bottom of the pliers. I'm going to kink the wire back until the loop is centered over the wire. And that usually stands my little piece of wire there almost straight up. Now I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to open this loop. And I'll thread on my little owl charm. Now, I know that's open enough. There we go. Now I'm going to close the loop back. I'm going to take my bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring this wire down a little bit. I'm going to wrap the short piece of wire around the long piece of wire about 3 times. I'm going to take my cutters, and I use a different pair of cutters for craft wire and head pins and eye pins than I do for bead stringing wire. I'm going to cut off my extra piece of wire. I'm going to take my 8mm bead and my spacer bead and my 6mm bead. And now I'm going to make a wrapped loop at the top of this, but I want it to face opposite this loop down here so that my owl will hang right on my ear wire. So I'm going to go to the very tip of the pliers. Bend over at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to round those pliers, put them in the crook of the bend. Round those pliers facing me. Bend the wire back until it hits the beads. Rotate the pliers till they're facing the table. Take this part under here until it hits the bottom of the tool. Kink the wire back until the loop is centered over the beads. Take my pair of bent chain nose pliers and hold on to my loop. Bring this wire down some. I'm going to take my other pair of bent chain nose pliers and start to wrap. I'll make sure to get that first wrapping under the bottom of the loop, but not over the top of the bottom of the loop. And I'm just going to keep wrapping until there's no more room to wrap. And now I'm going to take my cutters, cut off my extra wire. Now I'm going to take these crimping pliers, and I use the little half circles on each end to tuck in the burrs when I cut off wire. And I wait until I get the whole thing done before I tuck in my burrs, because if I have that bead to brace against, it helps me. If I do it without the bead to brace against, I usually end up bending the wire all over the place and messing up the loops and everything else. So that's why I do that. So now I'm going to just open up my ear wire, thread on my little earring, close my ear wire back, so there I've got a little earring. So now I'm going to make the other earring off camera, and then I'll try to get it all laid out so we can see it all together. So I'll be back. Okay, there's my necklace and pair of earrings made with some of the beads that came in the most recent curated bead box called Dusk in the Woods. It's the March 2024 box. Like I said, I just love that little owl so much, I just couldn't wait to use him. And as you can see, I like owls because I had all these extra other little charms in my stash. And like I said, if you're not subscribed to the box and you decide you want to be, that coupon code will save you 35% off your first box if you sign up. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. I also sell gift cards and some extra beads and findings that I have. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope y'all have a great day. Take care.